So the transition to shorter certificate validity has a number of benefits beyond just helping them reduce the manual toil associated with certificate lifecycle management. One of the most common threats to any form of key management is key compromise, and it's something that's very hard to detect. By shortening certificate validity down to 90 days, for example, you've reduced the value of a compromised key to the attacker to 90 days. This helps make your organization more resilient to these types of attacks by forcing the attacker to maintain persistence to maintain the same level of access, which makes them more detectable. So broadly reducing the value of the key to the attacker. At the same time, adopting automation decreases the likelihood of outages in your environment. This helps increase the availability of your services and saves your weekends and on calls from having to deal with somebody who forgot to replace a certificate before a long holiday weekend. Another reality that we all have to face is that for most, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when your organization is going to experience some kind of a security incident. And having automation in place helps you be able to respond more agilely to an incident that may have affected the cryptographic keys that you're dealing with. And so having a robust story around certificate lifecycle management can make it as easy as rolling out a policy change to refresh all the certificates instead of having to manually go and touch every system and again ruin everybody's weekend in those incidents. More broadly, as I mentioned, while it does reduce toil, I think the most important part of that is it frees up resources to focus on more strategic initiatives, which can allow an organization to address larger problems that they're facing rather than focusing on these manual processes that are error prone. At the same time, this does help the web as a whole become more agile. It enables them to be able to respond to security trends and changes more quickly because the maximum validity period of a certificate dictates the time it will take for the internet to be fully protected from any rolled out change. A 10-year certificate means that if bad practices exist for 10 years, the web is exposed. A 90-day certificate means that that exposure is limited to 90 days, and that's a pretty powerful change. So we've talked a little bit about the organizational challenges that you might face, but there's going to be some operational ones as well, especially with the legacy systems that you may still be supporting. These may take longer to roll out to, may need special attention to the approaches that are taken. So that's something to be mindful of. The other is making sure that you have adequate monitoring and automation in place for notification when automation fails, as well as understanding when a public certificate authority may have issued a certificate for your domain and you were not expecting it, so that you have adequate playbooks in place to make sure you know how you're going to deal with these cases when they take place. It's also a good opportunity while you're doing these things to make sure you have playbooks for things like CA distrust and mandatory certificate replacement from the certificate authorities and browsers. It's really the preparatory stuff, I think, that will take the most time, but with a little bit of planning, they're very manageable problems. A common question is, well, what if I don't deploy certificate automation now? And the answer is, well, you can still do manual certificate lifecycle management. But if you are doing that for 90-day certificates, you're going to be replacing your certificates manually probably every 60 days or 45 days. That significantly increases the burden that you're going to have to deal with from a manual certificate lifecycle management perspective, and also increases the chance that you're going to experience more failures related to manual certificate lifecycle management because you're doing it more frequently. At this point, you should be asking yourself, where should I be starting? The right place to start is an inventory of what certificates that you have and where are the most opportune places for you to start, whether that means picking new projects or going after the most well-funded or going after the most business critical. The best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is now. Getting a plan in place and getting alignment within the organization is going to be key to your ability to roll out certificate lifecycle management within your organization.